So school is over and summer is here. Welcome to another summer TBR video. Hey guys, this is my second video for my summer TBR. I've actually went ahead and separated my summer TBRs into separate videos. So then that way I could talk a little bit more about the books that I'm going to be reading for the summer. My goal is to read 30 books this summer. So I'm hopefully going to reach that goal by the end of August. We'll wait and see. I know I have my TBR keeps on growing because I get new books, but I am hopefully going to go ahead and reach that goal by the end of August. So before we get started, I want to make sure you are kept up to date with videos that I post onto my channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and ring that notification bell to receive updates when I post new videos. So let's go ahead and get started. In this edition of my summer TBR, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the YA series that I'm going to go ahead and read this summer. Some of them I already started, some I have not actually started yet, but I've been meaning to. They've been on my bookshelf for quite a while, or they may have my want to read shelf for Goodreads. So I'm hopefully going to go ahead and read those by this summer. So the first book in my pile that I have over here is actually a book that's been mentioned a lot in my book subscription boxes, and that is The Six That Crows by Leah Bardugo. I don't know too much about this book. All I know is that it's basically kind of similar to the Carnival series and also The Night Circus, which those two books I certainly loved. So I can't wait to start reading this book and starting into the series. I know there's The Crooked Kingdom is the second book in the series, so I can't wait to start this book. My next book is also, I do not have too much knowledge in it, and I've heard a lot of good reviews for this book. I've seen a lot of booktubers, they've actually mentioned this, and it's also another kind of fantasy series, and that is Strange to Dreamer by Lani Taylor. I think it's Lani Taylor. I haven't read too much of this book, so I am hopefully going to go ahead and read this. I know it's a fantasy book, and I've seen a lot of the sequels. I think the second book is something with nightmares. So I can't wait to read this book. It sounds pretty interesting. I'm always into that kind of fantasy, and especially when it comes to dreams, and it's always interesting to read about and watch about. So I can't wait to pick up this book this summer. My next book is a book series that I actually got for Christmas this year, and I've heard a lot of reviews for this. A coworker actually listened to the audiobook and she actually enjoyed it, and it is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. There's other books that V.E. Schwab had written and I have not actually read yet. This will be my first V.E. Schwab book, but a lot of booktubers actually talk about her and are always on her list, so I'm hopefully going to go ahead and read more of her books. But basically the premise that I know of this book is that there are two separate worlds. One side they actually do magic, the other they do not. And of course there's a lighter and there's a darker side of magic when it comes to that. So I can't wait to read this book. It sounds pretty interesting. Another series that I want to go ahead and get into. Another book that's been on my shelf for quite a while. I've been far behind on my reading for these past couple years. And this year I've been like, I want to reach my goal of reading 52 books this year. And I'm actually kind of like 6 books ahead on my Goodreads shelf. So I'm hopefully going to go ahead and read more books. So this book has been on my shelf for a couple of years now. I became interested in it after hearing that it's like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I heard other books that she's written. She's written, I think, Thorn of Glass too as well. So I cannot wait to read this book. I've always loved the retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And she has other books in the series that I kind of want to read. So this will be my first book of reading and of her book. This one is a little bit different. It's not actually a fantasy. It's actually going to be a mystery. And I've actually started reading this and I actually DNF'd it. I've been meaning to read this again. I've always loved this kind of stories. And that is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. And this is a modern take on the Sherlock Holmes stories. and I love Sherlock Holmes. Oh, Sherlock, definitely love him. And so I kind of want to read this again and pick this up to see what it's like. And there are other books that she has written in the series that all pertain to Sherlock Holmes. This is basically about Charlotte Holmes, who is an ancestor of Sherlock Holmes. And then she has this boy who is kind of like her Watson. So I cannot wait to pick this up again, to read it, to see what it's like. Another book that I actually am not too familiar with, but I've heard a lot about, this is kind of similar to The Night Circus again, and also Caraval, which I love those books, so I definitely want to pick it up and read it, and that is The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. She has other books that she's written I haven't read yet, and I heard that they're really good, so I can't wait to pick this up. Another fantasy kind of thing. I don't know too much about it, but I really want to read it because I'm in the mood for the Caraval similar books. Though that was a good book to read. I really enjoyed it. And this next book is another book that I got for Christmas, and it was from a friend, and I actually heard about this from a lot of booktubers. It's been on a lot of top lists, and I heard it's really good and really fascinating. And that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adamani. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But and this is a signed copy, as you can see. But I really want to read this because it's a different perspective on the fantasy element. So I kind of really want to read this. And I heard just a lot of amazing things in the book. A lot of people like the audiobook too as well. And I heard there's a second book going to be coming out. I don't know if it's later this year or later next year. So I kind of want to get ahead of the game and read this book. And these other two books that are in my pile, I read Caraval, I would say, was it last month in April? And I really, really enjoyed it. I became a fan of it. So the next two books that I'll definitely read this summer, that I'll finish the series, and that is Legendary and also Finale by Stephanie Garber. I loved Caraval. It was amazing. Julie, I fell in love with all the characters, especially Jillian, who's my book boyfriend, and it was amazing. Of course, if you have not heard of Caraval, I do have a book review on my channel. It's in my playlist. Definitely check it out. I definitely recommend this book, and also probably the series once I start reading it this summer. I'm hopefully going to read Legendary this month, and then maybe finale sometime next month, or maybe in August I might read. But I'm hopefully gonna complete the series this year, or not this year, this summer. So I'm hopefully gonna complete it. But it's amazing. I love the whole fantasy elements of it. I definitely recommend, if you loved The Night Circus, I definitely recommend checking it out. And then this next book I actually got, I think it was in a book subscription box, but I have not picked it up. It's been sitting on my shelf for over a year, but I've heard a lot of different perspectives of it, different interpretations, but I don't know too much about the story. But it kind of seems like it's a little bit similar to a book that I'm reading now, which is Four Dead Queens. I love that story that Astrid Schollett wrote. It's a really good story. I'm like halfway through it. It's amazing. Definitely check it out. But this is something that is somewhat similar. It's called Rule by Ellen Goldlet. But I definitely want to check it out because I am in that whole Four Queens element. And this is actually, the title says 3 sisters, 3 deadly secrets, only one can wear the crown. So I'm thinking it's a little bit similar to Four Dead Queens. So I definitely want to read this. Definitely on my summer TBR. And the last book was actually another book from my book subscription box. It was from Unplugged. And it's like the first book in the series, and that is Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Wendell. I know a little bit about this. This is kind of like a retelling of Les Miserables. So I definitely want to read this. I love that story. Definitely want to check it out. Whenever I saw this in Unplugged book box, if you watch that video, you'll see how surprised I was of receiving this book. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to read this. So definitely I'm going to check this out this summer. My pile is huge. I'm going to show you here in a second. It's so big, but I am definitely going to read this summer. So this is my summer TBR when it comes to YA fiction series. I have a lot to reading to do. So I'm hopefully going to go and do that this summer. I do have other books in my piles. I'm going to go and do other videos for those too as well. So then that way I go ahead and mention to you guys what I'm hoping to read this summer. So what are your YA series as well? Go ahead and put that into the comments area. I always read those. I love recommendations, especially when it comes to books, because I'm always on the hunt to find that next great read. So definitely go and put your thoughts and opinions. If you read these books, let me know. If you have other recommendations, please put those into the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button too as well, or share this video with other people that might be interested in learning about these books. Also, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe and ring that notification bell to receive updates on videos I post to my channel. I want to thank you guys for watching, and happy reading!